The war had raged for 3 solar cycles, leaving Kepler 442b's crystalline cities in ruins, and its purple skies choked with smoke. Sergeant Adnan Malik crouched behind the twisted wreckage of what had once been a Zephyrian transport, his plasma rifle's charge indicator blinking a dangerous red. The final human evacuation ships had departed hours ago, but he'd volunteered to stay behind with the rear guard, a decision that now seemed foolishly noble as enemy fire rained down around him. The Zephyrians were winning. Their insectoid forms moved with terrifying precision through the rubble, their chittering communications echoing across the battlefield. Humanity's first interstellar colony was falling, and Adnan was likely among the last humans left alive on this doomed world. That's when he saw her. Queen Nehalthis emerged from the smoke like a vision from another realm. Unlike the common Zephyrian warriors with their brown carapaces, her exoskeleton shimmered with an opalescent blue-green that caught the dying light of the system's twin suns. She stood nearly 8 feet tall, her forearms moving with fluid grace as she surveyed the battlefield. The lesser Zephyrians immediately prostrated themselves before her, their antennae twitching in submissive patterns. Adnan should have taken the shot. His rifle had enough charge for 1 clean hit, and eliminating their queen might buy the evacuation fleet precious time to escape the system. His finger tightened on the trigger as he watched her approach his position, apparently unaware of his presence. But as she drew closer, something unprecedented happened. Queen Nehalthis stumbled, her massive form swaying before she collapsed mere meters from his hiding spot. Green ichor seeped from a wound in her side. Some stray human munition had found its mark. Her breathing came in ragged gasps, and for the first time since the war began, Adnan saw a Zephyrian display what could only be described as vulnerability. The human soldier faced an impossible choice. Every tactical manual, every briefing, every fiber of military training screamed at him to eliminate the enemy commander. Instead, he found himself emerging from cover, his rifle lowered. "Easy there," he whispered, approaching slowly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The Queen's compound eyes fixed on him with an intelligence that was startlingly familiar, despite their alien structure. She tensed, clearly expecting death, but Adnan simply knelt beside her and examined the wound. Field medic training kicked in as he tore strips from his uniform to fashion a crude bandage. "This might sting a bit," he said, applying pressure to stem the bleeding. The Queen made a sound, something between a chirp and a sigh, that somehow conveyed both surprise and gratitude. As Adnan worked, exhaustion finally claimed him. The adrenaline that had sustained him through days of fighting ebbed away, and his eyes grew heavy. Without thinking, he settled against a piece of debris, his hand still maintaining pressure on the Queen's wound. Sleep took him almost immediately. He awoke to find Queen Nehalthis curled around him like a protective barrier, her 4 arms creating a shelter that had shielded him from the night's cold winds. Her breathing was steady now, and the wound had begun to heal with the remarkable speed of Zephyrian physiology. But more shocking than her recovery was the fact that she had remained with him, rather than rejoining her forces. "Why?" Adnan asked simply. The Queen's response came not in words, but in a series of complex gestures and harmonious tones that somehow conveyed meaning directly to his mind, a telepathic gift that few Zephyrians possessed. Through this connection he felt her confusion, her wonder at his inexplicable kindness. No enemy has ever shown mercy. Her thoughts whispered in his consciousness. No being has ever offered aid without demand for surrender. "What are you, human?" Adnan smiled tiredly. "Just someone who couldn't watch another living thing suffer." The mental connection deepened, and suddenly he could sense the weight of her experiences. Centuries of warfare, of making impossible decisions, of sending countless warriors to their deaths. But underneath it all lay something he hadn't expected: profound loneliness. Being a queen meant being isolated, revered but never truly understood. "In your brief sleep beside me," she communicated, "I felt something I had forgotten existed. Peace, acceptance without judgment. Is this what humans call friendship?" The concept was alien to her species, where relationships were defined by hierarchical positions and breeding compatibility. But in that moment of vulnerability, when she had expected death and received compassion instead, something fundamental had shifted in her understanding of the universe. 3 days later, the Zephyrian fleet received an unprecedented command from their queen: immediate ceasefire and withdrawal from human space. The surviving colonists were allowed to evacuate unmolested, and first contact protocols were established for future diplomatic relations. Queen Nehalthis refused all attempts by her advisors to explain her decision. She had found something more valuable than conquest in a moment of unexpected mercy. She had discovered that the universe contained beings capable of kindness toward their enemies, and she refused to be parted from the one who had shown her this truth. Months later, aboard the neutral station where peace negotiations continued, Adnan and Queen Nehalthis could often be found in the observation deck's quiet corners. He had resigned his commission to serve as humanity's cultural liaison, while she had restructured her entire empire's philosophy around the radical concept of compassionate strength. To the galaxy's amazement, the fiercest war in recent memory had ended not with superior firepower or tactical brilliance, but with a simple act of human decency. And at the center of this new era of peace sat an unlikely pair: a former soldier and an alien queen who had discovered that some bonds transcend species, ideology, and the vast darkness between stars. Their friendship became legend, proof that humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology or their tenacity, but their inexplicable capacity to show mercy even to those who would destroy them. It was the most human thing imaginable, and it had literally changed the course of galactic history.